Let's talk about the shining pocket. That's been metals, and let's address one of the top gainers of late. That's been JSW Steel. The rise in steel and commodity prices would be a good talking point. Also, JSW Steel is set to become a key contributor to India's steel capacity, whether they're on course to do so or not, and what are the steel demand and budgetary allocations that they're expecting as a sector. Let's bring on board Seshagiri Rao, the JMD and Group CFO at JSW Steel. Mr. Rao, good morning. Thanks so much for joining again. Have to ask you about your expectations from the budget this time. What does the government need to do in order to get the investment cycle to pick up?
Steel industry is concerned, there are a lot of raw materials which are getting exported from India, like iron ore and graphite electrodes. So there is a shortage in India, so there should be export duty which has to be imposed on exports. And at the same time, there are certain raw materials which we are importing, where import duties are there, like coking coal, coke, scrap, ferroalloys, refractories. Those duties are to be reduced. And at the same time, there are a lot of defective steel products which are coming into India, majorly due to very less differential duty between primary and secondary. So the duty on secondary products have to be increased from 15% to 40%. These are the major things which we are looking at from the budget, in addition to spending more money on the infrastructure and also in the rural areas to stimulate domestic demand.
So what's the kind of on-ground activity and pickup that you're witnessing post the national steel policy being implemented?
There is definitely an improvement in the last 2 months. There is an increase in the overall demand scenario. Particularly in the construction sector, we are seeing TMT, a product which is used in the construction sector. There is a pickup. So there is a green shoots which we are seeing in the marketplace. We hope the demand will increase going forward.
Right, steel prices have been on a tear. Where do you see prices sustaining themselves?
Steel prices internationally have gone up because of one is cost push and also demand recovery. Both two together we see a stable steel prices going forward.
Mr. Rao, are you seeing pressure from raw material costs? Iron ore, coking coal prices have gone up quite a bit. So is that pressurizing your margins?
Raw material front, the prices have gone up substantially globally, but it may be correction because the price raise in the international markets due to some temporary setbacks which have happened in some locations in the supply side. So they are getting corrected. So I think there will be a correction in the raw material prices downwards.
All right. So how far have you reached when it comes to the Dolvi as well as the other brownfield expansion plans?
Quite optimistic on the domestic demand going forward. In this sector, if you make investments, it will take 2.5 years by the time it becomes operational. So we are making investments taking into account the demand supply scenario in the next few years.
Mr. Rao, thanks so much for taking the time out and speaking with us and telling us what you as an industry are expecting from the budget this time around.